Well, hello everyone. Hope everyone is having a good day on this Monday after pretty good sports weekend. Um, Today, I'm just going to recap the both the weekends for UCLA and USC football. Um, since the Rams play tonight, we'll talk a little bit about that game and what the Chargers did. Um, Tomorrow I'll have a video on Tuesday morning. But right now, I'm just going to talk about what UCLA and USC did. Um, pretty good weekend for both winning their games. UCLA had the big win on Friday night. It was kind of a barometer game for the Bruins. They were 4-0 going into the game, but they really had not played anyone, and or at least played anyone who was considered a good team. And they had a close game against South Alabama a couple weeks ago, and then had the big win against Colorado on the road. But Colorado might be the worst team in Division I football. But UCLA had the big win to improve to 5-0, and they jumped into the top 25 in the Associated Press rankings at 18 with their 40-32 win over Washington, which was ranked 15 last week, and with the loss has dropped to 21 in this week's rankings. Big game for Dorian Thompson-Robinson. He threw for 315 yards and 3 touchdowns, and also rushed for a touchdown. A lot was thought of him, at least out here on the West Coast going into the year, but in a game that was televised nationally, that was a big game for him, and he looked really well, as did UCLA's offense, scoring the 40 points. They had a total of nine possessions. They scored a touchdown on 5 of those possessions and a field goal. They were stopped on a 4th and goal from the 4 to begin the game. They also were stopped on 4th and 1 about the 20-yard line, trying to add to their lead. And then middle part of the 4th quarter, they were forced to punt when they were trying to protect a 2-score lead. I thought the defense, it was one of the better efforts by the defense in the Chip Kelly era. They did allow 410 yards, but they had 2 interceptions, and they contained, for the most part, Washington's high-powered offense, especially in the Washington's last 2 scoring drives. They had to take their time, running time off the clock, and they were down by 24 points at that time. So that was kind of key. You obviously want to get stops, but at the worst, you want to at least have everything in front of you to let the opponent take their time. And so then when Washington was able to pull within 8 with, I think, about 3 minutes and 50 seconds left, UCLA was, with their offense, was able to run out the clock. So that was key, the way the defense, created those turnovers in the first half, and then forced Washington to go on long scoring drives, which ate up a bunch of the clock. So it was a big win for UCLA. I should also mention Zach Charbonnet looked his old self. There were questions about him, whether he was injured the last couple of weeks. He was held out of the Alabama State game. Didn't seem his usual self against South Alabama. Played well against Colorado, but he really looked strong in this game. He had 124 yards rushing and a touchdown and 56 yards receiving. He became a very good option for DTR. Won the like the third option of his progression. Jake Bobo had 142 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. Cam Brown had 5 receptions for 44 yards. So there was a lot of questions going into the season whether UCLA could have the same type of offense, and I think they proved this is one game, but Jake Bobo is kind of a replacement as a receiver for the option of Greg Dulcich last year, who's down in the NFL. Like I said, Cam Brown had a good game, and so I think the offense is going to be fine from here on out, providing they don't have any injuries. But that's the one thing, whether they could come close to what they did last year when they led the conference in scoring, and it looks like they'll be able to do that. And what happens from here on out is whether their defense can continue to have efforts like they had on Friday. The defense doesn't have to be great, but it's just got to be enough to slow down the opposition and get a few stops, and the offense can take it from there. I want to make one other point. Maybe it's just me being a fan, but Kaz Allen had a chance for a long kickoff return for a touchdown, and he was tripped just past midfield by the Washington kicker. And I just think a 15-yard penalty doesn't fit the crime in that aspect. I know I'm not sure what you would do in that, but it seems there should be a harsher penalty than that. That's just me. Moving on to what USC did. USC also improved to 5-0. They are now 3-0 in the Pac-12 with a 42-25 victory over Arizona State. Probably a little bit closer than most thought. I thought this was going to be a complete blowout. So you got to credit Arizona State with their interim coaching staff getting their players to continue to buy in and fight strong. But they were just overwhelmed. USC's offense, which was held down 2 weeks ago in the win at Oregon State, they look back in form. Caleb Williams threw for 348 yards and 3 touchdowns. He did have an interception, first turnover of the season for the USC offense. But outside of looked like a struggle in the middle part of the game when they had allowed Arizona State to get back into the game. And Arizona State had the ball twice with a chance to take the lead, but they were unable to get that score. And then the offense kind of closed strong to win 42-35. The defense, again, that's kind of the weak link that everyone's looking at. They give up a ton of yards, but they're able to create some turnovers. This game, they did allow 331 yards, but only 88 on the ground. That's promising because the previous 4 teams have been able to run on the USC defense. If they can do a better job of opponents' rushing attack, then that's going to say a lot. And they did a pretty good job against Arizona State, giving up only 88 yards. But there's going to be some teams that they're facing in the coming weeks who run the ball very well, and they're going to have to do an equal job like that. So we'll see how it goes. Next up for both UCLA and USC, big game for UCLA this week. They play Utah. Still considered by many as the favorite in the Pac-12. Utah is 4-1 and 2-0 in conference play, coming off back-to-back routes of Arizona State and Oregon State. Utah is a 3 point favorite in this game as I speak to you right now. And I would say Utah's going to win this game. If I was going to make a projection. They seem to be the more balanced squad going in. As good as UCLA's offense is, they did struggle last year in Utah. Of course, DTR did not play that game. He was out after injuring himself in the Oregon game. Wouldn't surprise me if UCLA won this game. Some experts before the season predicted UCLA would win this game, being at home. But I'm going to go with Utah. But UCLA does have a shot if they can move the ball like they did last week. DTR can have the type of game he had last week. They're going to have a shot. And it's going to be how the defense plays. Utah has a more balanced attack than some of the other Pac-12 teams. And UCLA, if they can shut down the run, it's going to make defending the pass a little more easier for them. But so we'll see how that goes. As for USC, they are hosting Washington State. That's going to be a good game. Washington State is 4-1 and 1-1 in the Pac-12. They lost at home to Oregon 2 weeks ago when they held the lead for much of the game, and Oregon was able to rally late and win that game. And then they routed Cal last week. So this is a very good Washington State team. Some experts have them as like the 5th or 6th best team in the conference at this rate, behind Utah, USC, Oregon, and UCLA. So very good offensive team. The defense has been playing pretty well. They won at Wisconsin earlier in the year. So this is not a gimme. Right now, USC is favored by 10.5. And I think it might be about that. About 10 to 12 point win. Maybe a little more. I see USC being able to move the ball and score. And they will make some stops, I think, on Washington State. But it'll be close for a while, and then I think USC will kind of pull away at the end. So that's my thoughts right for this week on the recap of both the Bruins and the Trojans, and hope you enjoyed this video.